And we're on. I am sitting in my living room this evening, and I've been participating on a thread through ABC 10. So I'm sorry, I don't have makeup on. I'm not all live ready. However, I do want to have this discussion because there's so many good comments happening on this ABC 10 article in regards to a story that was done about an aging gentleman who wants to or has a plan to live at a Holiday Inn as opposed to a nursing home in his later days. He wants to travel the world. He gets a free breakfast, some housekeeping, and that's all great and a fabulous option if you are an independent aging senior. But the fact that they compare the Holiday Inn to a quote-unquote nursing home is what really sparks my passion for what I do for a living as an elder care specialist. I am based out of Sacramento here, and I work with families all over the place that are struggling with options to pay for care, to find proper care, to find good care, to save some money on care. They're all struggling with individual stories of their aging parent, their aging grandparent, aunt, uncle, neighbor. I consult for free with these families to make sure that they understand all of their options, to make sure that they know what's available to them both in the home and outside of the home. Sometimes care in the home isn't going to be the best option. Other times it is. And so I not only take a look at the care needs of the individual, but I also take a look at what's available to them, what family resources are available, also what their budget is, if there are any behaviors, anything that we can resolve before we have to move somebody out of their home, all of those things. And it's a team discussion. I don't dictate where people go or how they, have to manage the care for their loved one, but I am a resource that can be utilized here in the community for helping families navigate all of their options. And sometimes you just don't know what your options are, and you make the best decision based on what you think is just available to you. And unfortunately, nursing homes, quote unquote nursing homes, we now call them skilled nursing facilities. Those are where our parents' grandparents went. And, back in the day, I remember in the 80s, going to sing in a nursing home and thinking that that was our only option for care when our parents aged, when we age. And thank goodness the community has seen a need for giving alternatives to our senior population. So there are other alternatives besides a quote unquote nursing home here. We do live in the state of California. Prices are higher here than they are in other states, but you have to be educated and aware about what all of the options are. So let's start with skilled nursing. When you compare a hotel to a skilled nursing facility, you really are comparing apples to oranges. Okay? Skilled nursing is there to serve a purpose, and they are very similar to what we used to know as convalescent homes, where people did go to live long term, and people do live long term in skilled nursing homes. But now with Medicare restrictions, insurance doesn't pay. It's very expensive to live in a skilled nursing if you don't have the $9,000 to $10,000 a month, sometimes up to $15,000 a month to live in a skilled nursing facility. You have to look into other options. And so when you're comparing a Holiday Inn, for one, right? So you have some amenities. You have a free breakfast. You have a nice warm bed. Typically, I don't know Holiday Inns to have kitchenettes or anything in their rooms, but I could be wrong. You may have a little bit of transportation to and from places in the area as a guest. You definitely have a swimming pool or something like that, in a social area. So those are all really good benefits if you want something more of a freedom lifestyle and you don't need any care whatsoever. But when we talk about skilled nursing, a lot of folks don't understand that there are other alternatives in the community. Skilled nursing is there for what we call a skilled need, a medical need. You pay the big bucks to be there because they're paying for doctors. They're paying Kaiser. They're paying high-level RNs and CNAs and discharge planning staff with master's degrees. So they have a huge job to do there. Typically speaking, you might go to a skilled nursing if you're going for short-term rehab. You fall, break a hip in the shower, you need to rehab a little bit before you go home. That's a very appropriate short-term stay for a skilled nursing facility. And Medicare, if you are a senior, usually picks that up to 100 days, okay? However, the average stay before you start talking about discharge is anywhere from 14 to 20 days. Used to be 14, it's moving towards 20 days now, where Medicare says, yes, absolutely, we'll pay for that. And then at that point, we have to prove why you would need up to the 100 days. And there are some folks that absolutely need that 100 days to recuperate. I've had people from ICU that have atrophied. There's no way that they're going to get better in 15 to 20 days. They need that extra time that Medicare will pay for. And you have to justify that to Medicare. We can't just call them and say, sorry, we're not leaving. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. We have to justify it. So when you're talking about a skilled nursing, they serve a real purpose. They also serve a purpose if you have a long-term medical need, okay? So assisted livings are considered non-medical. They just are. They're considered non-medical. They do lots of things, but they are very limited on what they can do within assisted living guidelines. A skilled nursing facility, because you do have the doctors on staff and you do have RNs that are working there and helping treat you, you might stay there long term if you have things like a trach. You have things like a feeding tube. You have long-term IVs going into your arm. You need medical care on a consistent basis for a long term. That is one reason that people would stay long term. And then we have to look at options, because after 100 days, how are we going to pay for that care? Okay, so because insurance isn't just going to pay it. Long-term care insurance, if you've paid into that, may very well pay into you being in a skilled nursing facility long-term. But it is not always an option for insurance to pay long-term. And in fact, most people don't have that kind of insurance to pay long-term for skilled nursing. So we have to really look at all of those options when it comes to something more skilled. There's a skilled need for you to be there, okay? The other options, when you're being discharged from the hospital, or you're being discharged from a skilled nursing facility and you can't go home, and there's lots of reasons people can't go home. Most of the time it is because they don't have 24-hour care. Families are working, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, children. We're entering a space where we have the sandwich generation, where people who are caring for their aging loved ones are also caring for minor children. Lots of people waiting to have babies. I'm in my 40s. I have a 3-year-old. Okay, I did take care of my parents. Both of my parents have already passed. I'm only 42. So I'm what you would consider a sandwich generation child. But not everybody has that situation. But most people cannot afford 24-hour care to be at home. A 24-hour caregiver through a reputable, licensed agency in the state of California, and specifically in the Sacramento area right now, is averaging anywhere from $28 to $33 an hour. And that is only up until the 8th hour of care. When that 9th hour hits is when overtime kicks in. We no longer have a sleep exemption in the state of California. We are now regulated by the state of California. I say we, but I'm a registered care technician on the website, but I actually don't do caregiving, okay? But the state of California has now regulated in-home care, and that has driven the cost way up. It's a great option because it is regulated now, right? In-home care can't just bring over anybody they want and put them in your house to care for your aging grandma. Okay, but unfortunately it has driven the price up, and it is way too expensive for most families above usually 4 to 5 hours a day. Okay, and sometimes they can't even afford that. So then we have to look, well, what are our alternatives? And there are two alternatives besides skilled nursing and in-home care. One is assisted living. Usually we refer to assisted living when it's anywhere from 12 to 15 beds and above. And you probably drive around Sacramento and you can start seeing assisted living on nearly any corner now. There are so many options within our local area in Placer County, in nearby El Dorado County. They're growing like leaps and bounds. I think they're planning 5 new facilities just in the El Dorado County area. So that is an option. They tend to be a little bit more expensive because you typically will pay for all the amenities, right? They have tons of activities. They usually have 5-star chefs. They usually have CNAs. Sometimes they have an RN on staff. You're paying for memory care in there. Memory care is another area of assisted living that we are seeing growing by leaps and bounds because we're seeing dementia be diagnosed day after day after day, and the regulations do not afford us a lot of options when it comes to placing a person with a memory challenge in either an assisted living or a boarding care. There are some restrictions that we really have to be mindful of. So, that also drives the cost up. But I will tell you, there are options in the area that for as little as $2,300 a month, you can have a shared room with full care. And I'm not talking bedbound care. I'm talking full care. Okay, all your meals are done. Your medications are taken care of. Your linens are clean. You have somebody that always stands by for a shower or for toileting if you need it. They have the activities. They go places. They do all of those things, okay? And the care is really good. Some of my lower cost places actually provide the best care. So I want to definitely make sure that people understand that $2,310 is low in this area, very, very low. However, it's a hidden little secret that I have, and that other elder care specialists in the area have, where we want the best care for the lowest price if possible, especially when we're on a budget. They will not take somebody who cannot get out of bed. They will not take somebody who needs changing 5 to 8 times a day. They really don't cater to the higher care population because that's how they keep their costs low. However, so that's one option, right? We also have care homes that have shared rooms available. Private rooms on average in the Sacramento area are running about $3,500 a month in a 6-bed, what we call care home, RCFE, residential care facility for the elderly. We have them all over the place. There are probably at least 1 or 2 in your neighborhood, and you may or may not even know it. Care homes are great because there's usually plenty of staff. The staff ratio is 1 to 2 per 6 residents, okay? Not 1 to 6 in assisted living, and sometimes 1 to 12 in assisted living. It really just depends on the facility and how many employees they have to residents and what those employees do for those residents. So, we have to really look at apples to apples. We can't compare a hotel. You can get up in the morning, go have a free breakfast, and take off on your own. But you can't cook there, right? Some of our assisted livings have apartments where you can actually cook. We even have independent living senior apartments that are not regulated by the state of California. However, they do provide a great apartment living. They provide all the activities. They provide sometimes up to 3 meals a day, depending on where you go and what your plan is when you move in there. They have housekeeping at least once a week. They have transportation to local places. And those can start as low as like $1,300 a month. So when you're comparing apples to apples, it makes sense. When you're comparing apples to oranges, and orange we'll say is the hotel, it doesn't make any sense. Some people are talking about on this thread, about living on a cruise ship. To me, living on a cruise ship actually makes more sense than living in a Holiday Inn, and they can be affordable. Okay, as long as you can live in confined quarters, which sometimes assisted living seems like a confined quarters, especially if you're sharing a room. Okay, however, at least a cruise ship has a doctor on there. has availability to get you to a hospital if you need it. They do have all the activities and entertainment right there on board. They're serving food almost any time on a ship, so you can get things that are catered to your special dietary needs, right? So if you're low sodium or you're on a vegan or a vegetarian diet, those are all things that are going to be included on a cruise ship. You do have housekeeping that's going to come in and do your bedding and clean your room and keep it sanitized, all of those kinds of things. You're also going to have an option to pay for somebody to do some laundry on board. So all of those things are great if you are independent enough. You can take your medications on time. You don't need assistance in and out of a shower. You don't need help dressing yourself. You don't need any. And I bet if you had a good concierge on a cruise ship, if you needed something buttoned or tied or whatever, that you could probably find somebody to do it. And maybe even in a hotel. I don't know. But I'm just saying that even if you go live on a cruise ship, there's more services available to you and a doctor right there readily available should you need it. Whereas in a hotel, you do not have those options. But, for somebody who's independent, if that's the way he wants to live his life, go for it. I always encourage families to do what is planned in the will, to do what is planned in when you have these long-term planning discussions with your families. You want to make sure that you're trying to live out their wishes as best as you can. Now, going back to a care home is a 6-bed residential home. So like I said, there's probably a few in your neighborhood. They offer one-on-one care to your resident. So they're the ones that are using a Hoyer lift if you need to get in and out of bed. They're the ones who are giving you your medications. They're cooking to order. If you like hard-boiled eggs and not scrambled eggs, they can cook to order right there, whereas some assisted livings are not able or not allowed to do that for you. If you're on a special diet, if you need more, somebody to bathe you in bed, you need somebody to constantly help you one-on-one to get in and out of a chair 5 to 10 times a day, or walk with you with assistance, we can find a place that does all of these things for a fraction of the cost that an assisted living might charge you. Because what we do is there's rent and care, and on average all care is included at a care home. So it can be for a private room, and sometimes these rooms are fairly large. You can bring all your own furniture and things and make it homey. We can do that for $3,500 a month, which is very comparable to what he's going to be paying for no care at all in a hotel. So I just really wanted to hop on here and just kind of talk about these issues because I'm commenting on the thread and people have really, really valid points on this article that they're commenting on. That skilled nursing is too expensive, that assisted livings are becoming outrageously expensive, but you have to know where to go. When I come and meet with your family, I know what area you're looking for. I know the level of care that you might need or that your loved one's going to need. I know the budget that you're working with, so that I'm not going to show you $1 million house on a mountain to go to if your budget is conducive to $2,300 a month. If you are able to stay in your home, those are the recommendations I'm going to give you to stay in your home. There's lots of technology now. There are, great agencies out there that are working with families to provide as much care as possible. There is the option for you to hire a private caregiver to come in and care for your aging loved one. I don't recommend that because when you're hiring a person off the street, usually there's not a background check. Usually, they are your employee. So when you bring them into your home and they slip and fall, there is no agency to cover the workman's comp on that. And if you've checked out workman's comp in California, you understand and know how high of a rate it is to carry insurance for workman's comp. So I always recommend talking to your homeowner's insurance. The other thing is labor laws. We have really, really tight labor laws here in the state of California. And if you have a disgruntled employee that you've hired privately that is going to leave you and you've been paying them pennies on the dollar to work 24 hours a day, and they decide to take you to the labor board, you could be in a lot of trouble. So there are many, many precautionary things when considering hiring the next door neighbor to come in and care for your aging loved one. What happens if they, don't show up for work that day? Who comes in to provide that care if you have to go to work? So there are so many considerations that we have to take into account when making good decisions for long-term care planning. So I really, again, wanted to hop on here, kind of clarify my voice on that article so that you guys understand where I'm coming from as an elder care specialist. Again, my services to meet with your family are free. If you place in a facility, not always, but if you place in a facility and you drive the bus, not me, okay, I give you my recommendations based on people that I know, like, and trust, that I have long-term relationships with, that I have placed before, that I have vetted out, that I know have clean licenses through licensure through the state of California. I work to put you in the best place possible for the price that we can get for the level of care that you need, and have all the other expected amenities that your loved one may need or want. So with that, I'm going to sign off tonight. Thank you for accepting me in my all natural. I worked a big show yesterday, and today was kind of my down day. But I am available. My number is 916-821-8378. You can call or text me. I am available anytime to come out and meet with your family. Again, free consultation. There's no obligation, but I am very passionate about educating families about all of the options that they have, both here in the Sacramento area, but really anywhere in the country if I can do it. So please reach out to me by Facebook. Give my page, Your Elder Care and Placement Specialist, a like. Go visit my website at youreldercarespecialist.com. Share this video to anybody that is trying to decipher all of the things. This is just a snapshot of the kind of information that I can help you with. So have a great night, and I'll see you soon.